So Niagara Falls is very famous as a waterfall, but the region itself has a lot more. And outside of wineries, we've got some absolutely wonderful hiking here just on the outskirts of the city.
Welcome back to Trail Tales. In this video, we're hiking to Devil's Hole in the Niagara Gorge in upstate New York. Niagara Falls brings millions of visitors to the region every year, but did you know that there is so much more than just the waterfall? If you're planning a trip to Niagara region and you're looking for inspiration, or you just love the great outdoors, then this video is for you. Located on the American side of the border, looking out over the Niagara River and into Canada, this 4.5-kilometer loop was a casual afternoon hike, taking in some new sights and fall foliage. We didn't really know what to expect of this hike, since there's not too much about it online. Despite being called Devil's Hole State Park, there was no visible signage about what the hole was or where to find it, so we set out to explore the trail. Join us and see what we find along the way. Starting out at the free-to-use car park, we were immediately blown away. The autumn wind was quite strong, but the views of the gorge were stunning. The bright blue water below us was so striking, contrasting beautifully with the fall colors on the trees. The top half of the trail is along a well-defined gravel path, which is quite flat. Every 50 meters or so, the trees subside and you get beautiful colors from your high-up vantage point, looking over the river, the gorge, and all the fall colors. The sounds of the powerful coursing river are distant from up here, but you can start to imagine how the second, lower portion of the hike will sound. The weather for us was very mixed. It started off sunny with ominous grey clouds in the distance, growing closer by the minute. The dense foliage that lines the side of the cliff largely sheltered us from the wind, but obscured the view. This, however, made every lookout feel like a real treat, as new portions of the gorge and the river were revealed to us. While you can't see the falls from this hike, you can look back in time at where they used to be. Over eons, the water rushing from Lake Erie to Lake Ontario pushed back the falls to where they stand today. The cliffs of the gorge tell a story, millions of years in the making. The falls are quite rightly a wonder of the world, but beneath them and the surrounding area, an engineering marvel is hiding, mostly in plain sight. The energy from the enormous volume of water passing between these two Great Lakes is captured in hydroelectric dams, powering 25% of Ontario and New York State's electricity needs sustainably. And the raging torrent that lies at the bottom of the gorge is a playground for thrill seekers, venturing out on one of the many jet boat tours we saw along the way. As we reached the staircase to take us down to the riverside portion of the trail, we had no shelter from the elements. The shower that passed over us was mercifully brief and light, and we were grateful that we weren't enduring facefuls of cold water like the boaters we'd seen earlier. During our descent, we passed others climbing the stairs, all of whom were panting, and they commented that it was much steeper than they'd remembered going down. Despite the rain, the steps were not slippery, and just as quickly as they had rolled in, the dark clouds disappeared and the sun came out to warm our faces. From this close-up, the water looked like it was moving even faster. The rapids looked that much more powerful. Along the water's edge were many folks fishing, and we saw more still, coming and going as we continued along the trail. At times the path got very narrow and was in need of maintenance, but where the riverbank had yielded to the water was also free of trees, allowing the sun to warm us up and our eyes to gaze on the raging river. Around this time in the hike, we began to wonder where the Devil's Hole of this eponymous park could actually be found. Google Maps had no location for it. All trails showed an offshoot from the main trail that didn't really align with what we could see before our eyes. It led to only scree and a steep climb at that, and that just didn't seem right. And there were no signs along the trail pointing it out, so we were stumped. Wouldn't really recommend climbing up the scree since there's nothing but sheer cliff face at the top. Back on the trail, we stumbled across a dark cave, just a few meters from the trail. This unassuming aperture was not signposted and had no maintained trail leading to it, but we went exploring anyway. To our surprise, the cave itself had another mysterious hole in the ceiling with a trickle of water pouring out of it. Searching online doesn't conclusively answer whether this is the Devil's Hole, but it's certainly a contender. And if you happen to know, please let us know in the comments.
And now it's time for the ascent.
While it was never particularly steep, there are a lot of stairs, so you will be at least a little out of breath on the return ascent. There are plenty of places to take a break, but because you're walking through the forest, there isn't much of a view of the river once you turn away from the riverside trail.
It's a lot harder on the way up. I don't actually remember descending this far. I don't really know what's happened there, but the stairs got a little bit out of line.
Because the path was so uneven at this point, we paid a lot more attention to the ground beneath our feet and saw a millipede. This might not be noteworthy to you, but we've never seen them in Canada. Have you ever seen one this big? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's check out the Cave of Evil Spirits.
The Cave of Evil Spirits was both signposted and noted on the map, but I've seen it mentioned as the Devil's Hole Cave online. Either way, it was an interesting detour, although the graffiti was a shame. We thought we could follow the path back along the cliff face, which was also signposted as a trail, although it was not marked on the map. What was left of it was not in good shape. The ground was littered with fallen rocks from the cliff face.
I think that used to be a trail, but it certainly isn't anymore. And definitely use that at your own risk. A lot of fallen rocks, so maybe take the safer route.
As the hike drew to a finish, we reflected on what we'd experienced. The bright blue waters raging through the gorge and the fall colours really stood out to me, and I'm very grateful to have been here to see them. And to top it off, the view from the top polished off a perfect afternoon hike. We hiked a total of 4.66 kilometers and gained 143 meters of elevation. We were moving for about an hour and a half, and our total time was well under 2 hours. This is definitely an easy hike that anyone can do. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and comment if you have ideas for other hikes in the area. And if you'd like more hiking inspiration, please consider subscribing, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.